Evening from the mighty 790 KFGO. It is indeed Thursday night, and always appreciate Jack Sunday jumping out of the seat. He's a legend, and I get to sit in his seat. So I do appreciate him giving up half an hour of his time each week, reduced hour of his drive time live here on KFGO. And I hope you're getting wherever you're going safely. The roads are a little bit better. And Scott Taylor joins me from the Discovery. Okay. Name that rink again, Scott.
The Canada Life Center.
Canada Life Center, and you sound crisp and clear, and you look fantastic. Christmas was very, very good to you.
Well, yeah, way too good. My wife is the best baker in Manitoba. It was way too good.
Well, this is an It's
going to take me 6 years to get rid of the weight I gained at Christmas. And at my advanced age, I may not have 6 years.
Well, you know what, though? The food just tastes so good, and it was cold outside. We have to fuel that fire to keep us warm, and it definitely,
there's an excuse.
There's an excuse right there. But this is the Nilles Law Firm South. You're the Nilles Law Firm North. We do appreciate you joining us. And I think, are you going to be in the lineup tonight for the Winnipeg Jets? Because they're rather depleted, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and there are times when I watched their loss to the Wild, when I looked at some of the players and thought, I'm only 71.
Right.
I'm as quick as 3 or 4 of them. I mean, there were a couple of guys out there. I couldn't believe it. It's like since the start of the season, they'd become slower.
Yeah.
It's a very, very sad state of affairs in Winnipeg. I think it's one of the saddest stories in all of sport when you lose more than a third of your hockey team around Christmas, and 5 of those 7 are regulars, and 3 of those 7 are your first and second line. So now they tried to split up the guys they had left, and they couldn't get anything out of them because they're playing with American Hockey League players. And this isn't a matter of an excuse. It's the reality of the NHL today. But what is really disturbing is for fans. You pay a large amount of money to see National Hockey League players when you can pay $15 to see the Manitoba Moose in the American League. And this team that's playing for Winnipeg right now is basically the Manitoba Moose. It's an American Hockey League team with a first line, 2 all-star defensemen, and a first-class goaltender. The unfortunate part has been is that the Jets haven't been blown out by anybody. They lost 3-1 to the Wild the other night. And you should say with that Jets team that if you've got the whole team there, giving up 3 goals should be a 5-3 win.
Mm-hmm.
But when the whole team isn't there, they can't score more than 1. And they haven't scored more than 1 in 3 or 4 games. And the really sad part about this team is that most of these players are not coming back soon. They're going to be out for a month or months to come. These are serious, serious injuries. And I just think it's the saddest story in hockey. This was a team that was just ripping it up. It had chemistry. It was playing 200-foot hockey. It was as good a team as there was in the National Hockey League. And then because there is no rule book in the National Hockey League, 5 cheap shots, really cheap shots, shots from behind, spears, high sticks to the face, these kinds of things. And because of these things, they are without their team now and may be lucky to finish last. I mean, I'm talking lucky to finish last because they just don't have any players left. It's very sad. It's the saddest story in hockey.
Well, the saddest story could end up being the best story, with Connor Bedard being a guy that might be the number 1 draft pick in the National Hockey League. Yes. Okay. The circumstance, there's not a lot of sympathy around the National Hockey League when teams have injuries, right? I mean, it is what it is. Every team goes through it, but the beneficiary of the fact that, well, you might have a bit of a bad second half of the year and you might end up getting a better draft pick. And that's the consolation prize, right?
The worst thing in the NHL is to finish in the middle.
Right.
Because if you finish outside the top 10, you're not getting a very good player. If you finish at the end, generally, you had a great season and you went deep in the playoffs. If you can finish in the top 10, you can get a good player. Only one team's going to get Connor Bedard, and I'll bet you there's teams tanking right now to get him. After that,
Chicago Blackhawks probably going to be dumping a couple of guys into this year and looking to rebuild, to replace Kane, to replace Taves, and Bedard would fit very nicely in the Chicago lineup. Would he ever? And it sounds, well, the way Chicago's season going, maybe they'll finish ahead of the Winnipeg Jets at this point. But you know what? This is a Nilles Law Firm studio, and the Nilles Law Firm was established in the early 1900s. The Nilles Law Firm provides legal services in more than 10 areas of practice, including business and corporate law, estate planning, wills and trusts, probate, commercial litigation, adoption services, as well as real estate. A division of Nellis Law Firm is Northern Title, which provides complete closing and escrow services along with title insurance policies for all types of real estate transactions in North Dakota as well as Minnesota. Call Nellis Law Firm at 701-237-5544 or look them up at the World Wide Web at nellislaw.com. And Scott, I will share with you, I spent the last couple of nights at the in West Fargo at the Lights. And what an amazing facility for hockey. High school tournament played outdoors. The West Fargo Lights is a beautiful facility with banks and medical clinics and condos. And in the middle of this beautiful square facility is a beautiful hockey rink. And they played outdoor hockey last night, 25 degrees, high school hockey at its finest. Got to do it on Midcoast Sports, a little color analysis. And I tell you what, more cities are looking to do this. They're going to do that build a similar facility in Bismarck. Epic Company's doing it, and I'll give this plug to Epic, as well as in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Winnipeg should look at something like that because the Forks is great, but they don't play hockey there. But something like this facility, wow, very, very impressive.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. It'd be fun. But nobody in Manitoba likes outdoor hockey anymore. The kids don't even like to play it anymore. Everything here is indoors because we're getting nice, cute, springy weather right now. But you forget that a week ago, weather tried to kill us.
Yeah, that's true.
We get minus 40 a lot. We are much colder than you are in Fargo, generally. And people are tiring of being outside. They're really tiring of it. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon up here.
No, I tell you what, though, it was really a great venue. And last year it was 25 below and they moved things indoors. They had fire pits around. There are restaurants there, condos. You can see people watching from their condos watching the games, and really exciting and great opportunity for youngsters to get on television. They get the DVR of the situation. They have the great memories of playing in a really nice venue. And yes, the weather cooperated completely. And I worked with Jody Norstead last night. Dean Wilson worked with Brian Sean a couple of games as well, and just great. And tipping hats to Midcoast Sports for covering high school hockey. They cover an awful lot of things down here, and they do a great job of it. A great group of guys to work with, great staff. The camera guys, even at 25 degrees, though, didn't like being outside too long. Scott, that's not a fun job, I tell you.
No, that's not fun at all. It's really nice when you're standing around those fire pits calling the play-by-play.
Yeah, well, I was lucky. I was behind a nice glass wall with the heater. We were in a not completed party room, I guess it'll be in the future in the condo development up there. But just a great environment. And for those who did not participate, next year they'll be back doing it. Teams from River Falls, Wisconsin, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Sioux City. They didn't have any Canadian teams this year. I'm not sure why. Maybe exchange rate hurt it, but last year there was a bunch of Canadian teams coming down as well. But you know, those holiday tournaments are very popular, and they will continue to do so. Well, we have a pretty good show lined up, as we always do, as we visit with Scott. He's at the arena in Winnipeg, where the Winnipeg Jets will be taking on the Vancouver Canucks, Brock Besser and crew this evening, a team that, well, Winnipeg should win, but again, the injury plaguing that team. We have Brian Adolski, former University of North Dakota women's hockey coach. He'll be joining us. He's now at St. Cloud State after a couple of years in Russia. We'll talk about Russia a little bit, his experiences there, and now his experience with St. Cloud State. And there's a couple of young women from Manitoba on that roster as well.
Well, he has one of my favorite players of all time, Olivia Savard, who helped Balmoral Hall win the Junior Women's Hockey Championship in 2018. They were basically the North American champions. And if you know anything about the Junior Women's League, Balmoral Hall is a high school, and the Junior Women's League is under 22 players. And they won that championship for the first time. And Olivia Savard was one of their leaders. Of course, she's a senior now at St. Cloud State. So I want to know how Brian feels about her play, because it's Brian's first year and her fourth. So it's difficult sometimes for kids to face different coaches. So we'll see how she's doing.
Yeah, and as they bring in players and their recruits and so on, right now St. Cloud State is in 5th place in the WCHA, the women's WCHA, 6 wins and losses, 7. They're having a pretty good season. And Brian will get a good chance to share his story, and we'll talk a little bit about UND women's hockey, the demise of that program. We'll talk about his experience in Russia and his recruiting in Europe, because he has a lot of European ladies. He's been very good at UND. A lot of Tarvinen, I believe, played, and a lot of girls that played on Olympic programs in Norway and Sweden came to UND as well. So we'll talk with Brian about that. We'll have a quick visit with Paul Dick, the the Steinbach Pistons of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. We had one of his players who committed to St. Thomas last week. Again, the program that we keep talking about, but opportunities for youngsters down here to go up there to play if they don't get a chance to play the North American Hockey League or the USHL.
Well, we could talk to him too about Travis Hensrud from Thunder Bay, who plays for the Steinbach Pistons, who committed this week to Northern Michigan University. So another commit from the Steinbach Pistons. If you are a good high school player in the United States and you're in that situation where you don't get the scholarship coming out of grade 12, coming out of your senior year of high school, and you want to keep playing, we'll talk to Paul Dick tonight about your opportunities to play in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, because as we see another player committed this week. So Nick Mikan 2 weeks ago, Travis Hensrud this week. More players are committing to U.S. Division I schools out of the Steinbach Pistons. I think they had 5 or 6 last year. We'll talk to Paul about that coming up.
That's the voice of Scott Taylor. I'm Travis Dunn. This is Game On Hockey on the Mighty 790 KFJO. We do this each and every week. Following this will be the Titans versus the Cowboys on KFGO, so make sure to stay tuned for that.
By the way, are you playing quarterback for Tennessee tonight? I heard you were heading down to the game to suit up as their QB.
My definition
string guy.
My definition of a long bomb would be about 5 or 6 yards. I don't think I could get the ball to go very far. The old shoulder is not what it used to be, I tell you what. But the war of attrition in athletics, we talk about, the Jets being down, NFL. Good. I mean, this is not a football program, but just the attrition, the damage these sports are doing to these guys. They keep their doctors busy, don't they?
Boy, they sure do. They keep the doctors and the trainers extremely busy. And we talked about the Jets. We'll go back to hockey. The Colorado Avalanche are another team that is facing terrible injury problems. And that Avalanche team, the defending Stanley Cup champions, a team that a lot of people believe could win the Cup again, are now struggling against teams like the Arizona Coyotes, a team that can't sell out a 5,000-seat college building. I mean, the reality is that injuries are beating these teams up. And Winnipeg and Colorado are 2 teams that are taking the worst of it right now.
When you talk about the miracle almost of winning back to back or back to back to back, it really becomes that, just staying healthy. How do you stay healthy over an 82-game series, regular season, and then the war known as the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not an 82-game season. It's a 110-game season, depending on how many games you have to play in the playoffs to win a championship. So if you're coming back as a defending champion, you didn't stop playing hockey till the end of June, middle of June, end of June. And you played 110, 111 games. And now you've got to come back at it in September and start training camp again. That's not a lot of rest. These players, as great a shape as they're in, and we've talked about this a lot, about the incredible physical condition that these players are in, it seems that they break easy. So many injuries, so many serious injuries to really good players. And I'll go back to my last comment that it's got to be difficult for somebody to pay $150, $200 to go to a National Hockey League game and know that your team is not good enough to compete at the NHL level and know that the stars aren't playing. How would you like to watch the Jets in Colorado right now without 5 first-line Jets players and without Nathan McKinnon? I don't think it'd be worth your money.
No, then that becomes that very, very issue, because it's not inexpensive. Unless you're going to Winnipeg and you're paying an exchange rate where the tickets are much less than the hotel. I had Eric Johnson laughing at that. That's the producer over there, Eric Johnson, running this thing, keeping this thing on the rails. He loves hockey, and so he's back over there smiling. He loves these conversations that we have each and every Thursday, and we appreciate him directing this and running as smoothly as it does. It's been pretty awesome having Eric behind the wheel.
Well, yeah, and it does run smoothly, frighteningly, with you and me at it. 2 technical geniuses.
He pulled the microphone over.
We'll keep you guys on track, and we'll have a little fun while we talk some hockey. I like this. This is a great way to spend a Thursday evening.
Absolutely. What we're going to do with this right now is we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will introduce Brian Adelsky, the head coach of the St. Cloud State Women Husky Hockey Team. You're listening to Game On Hockey in the Mighty 790. He's Scott Taylor. I'm Travis Dunn. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday night. Drive carefully wherever you're going. Come back in a couple of minutes, and we'll carry on the conversation. A lot of hockey conversation on Game On in the Mighty 790 KFJO. We'll be back from the Nilles Law Firm studio after these messages. cranking it out.
Yeah, maybe a nice dinner and then in bed by 10:30 or 11. That sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds so very familiar. It is my 35th wedding anniversary, so I'm going to be bragging about that on the 2nd and putting it this way, and Scott will smile because he's married for a long time as well. Any women that would put up with guys like us, man, I tell you what, they deserve to be treated special on the 35th wedding anniversary.
Well, yeah, but I'm the luckiest guy in the world. My New Year's Eve has been scheduled for more than a month. Living with an Ohio State grad, you know what I'm doing New Year's Eve. She's already got the shakes. She's already nervous. She's been wearing her brand new Ohio State sweatshirt around the house for a week. She is, and she knows they're going to get killed. She just knows it. But
boy,
you know it's fans, right?
It's the greatest time of the year. It's the greatest bowl games and World Junior Hockey Championships and the rest of it. But Scott, you have a message to share.
It is time to move the golf game indoors. And we've talked about this for weeks. The winter's here. You can't play the golf courses. So you got to go to the golf center. It has a complete line of golf simulators, hitting mats, nets, training aids. They're all in stock and they'll all help you get better. Garmin R10, Bushnell Launch Pro, and SkyTrack can help you keep your swing in its groove all winter long. And the golf center has bags, FootJoy golf shoes, golf balls, as well as clothing to look great when you can get back on the course. Give Brian and the guys a call or stop by the golf center, 3001 South Columbia Road in Grand Forks, or call them at 701-775-0019. That Golf Center, Grand Forks. There you go.
I tell you what, I know that we do this show on Zoom, by the way, up to YouTube Live, and I can see Brian Adulski, and he's nodding his head. He's been to the Golf Center a few times in his life. Haven't you, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I got my clubs from. So.
You're one of the many. Everybody from Jordan Kawaguchi, all the guys got their clubs there. So yes, the Golf Center, we highly recommend and we endorse them. The voice you hear, the head coach of the St. Cloud State Women Husky Hockey Team, Brian Adulski. Welcome to Game On with Scott Taylor and Travis Dunn. We appreciate you joining us on a Thursday night, Brian.
Thanks, Trav. Appreciate being here.
Well, here it is, first year, St. Cloud State. To say you've been around the world would be not an exaggeration. At this point, you were coaching in Russia a year ago now, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Whereabouts in Russia were you?
So we were there once COVID hit China. We were in Russia for a couple different spots. One, we were in the southern suburb of Moscow, Stupino. And then second year, we were in a northern suburb in Mitizhny. So all around Moscow a little bit. So it was a fun adventure for sure.
You coached the Chinese team as well, correct? The Chinese women's team?
I had the Olympic team in Beijing.
How was that experience?
Interesting, I guess, is a good word for it. First Olympics for me, but with COVID and the restrictions, I mean, we basically were in a closed loop, which meant we were in kind of our apartment style housing. We were bused to the rink, practice, played, bus back, and then back in our dorm style, room. And that was really the experience. Even the dining hall, which a lot of people talk about being a great experience to meet different people and other sports and people from our countries, was a little surreal. They had us in cafeteria style seating, but it was completely closed off. So you're kind of eating in a little private box that you couldn't see the people across from you. So it was a different experience for sure.
That is not the Olympic experience.
No, not at all.
And I'm sure that you heard stories from other coaches that this just wasn't the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, normally you're going to different events. You're meeting other people. The Olympic Village is vibrant and a lot of people out and about and walking and meeting and talking. None of that really existed. I mean, we were basically kind of fenced into that area. We weren't going in and around Beijing at all. It was really your competition and back to the apartment. And that was really what it was like for the week and a half that we were in the Olympic Village.
Any thoughts about going back to China and taking that team again?
I think we've kind of run our course, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's very interesting that they had people within the party and government who thought we should be competing for a medal. And so there were some very interesting conversations. I'm not always the most fluffy with when I'm asked a direct question. So they were asking me how we matched up against Canada, and I just said we don't. Like one of our we had a player of some Canadian descent on our team as an import, and I'm like, who's our best player? Well, Hannah Miller. Yep. Do you know where Hannah Miller fit in the Canadian player pool? No. I said 45. That means they could put together two teams better than our best player. So, no, we don't really match up with Canada.
That's the voice you're hearing is Brian Adelsky, the former Chinese Olympic hockey coach, former University of North Dakota women's hockey coach as well. Now at St. Cloud State. You're listening to Game on Hockey in the Mighty 790 KFJO. Scott Taylor, Travis Dunn, each and every Thursday night. Brian, now you're back in North America, running a back in what you obviously love, and that's women's college hockey. How much fun are you having?
Oh, I mean, geez, I was really only out of it for like 3-4 years, and the WCHA is just ridiculous right now, talent wise. The game has grown so much in my 20 years that it's almost was completely unnoticeable, honestly, when I came back. I'm like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio State, like these three teams in our league could easily play for a bronze medal. Like they're that good. And so it's been fun to be back. I enjoy competing, and there's nothing better than being in the WCHA, honestly, just the best league for player development, maybe globally now that I've been around a little bit. So it's fun to be home.
How difficult is it to recruit to that league? I wouldn't suspect it's that hard, but if you're not Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Ohio State, it might be more difficult.
Obviously, the power of the Big Ten, as you alluded to with Ohio State football, has its advantages. But we're able to attract a fair amount of international kids who understand what it looks like to compete against some of these players internationally. And so it just continues to get better and better. I think, obviously, brand recognition for the North Americans, they understand what that looks like. The international players, they don't know the difference between a badger and a gopher. They have no idea. They just know if you're recruiting them that you care about them and you're going to help them be a better hockey player to play on their national team, and that's what's important to them.
Tell us about your team, where it stacks up, where it feels for you right now heading into the new year.
To be honest with you, we're farther along than I really thought. We were a seventh place team last year. I came in July started, so already behind the eight ball on the recruiting cycle, and wasn't able to influence a lot of changes in the roster from the year before. But we're sitting above 500, 11 wins in the first half, ranked for like the third time in program history, and a chance to arguably have the best season in St. Cloud history. I think the most they've had is 18 wins in a season, and that's kind of our push and our rallying cries. We have a chance to really lay our mark and really change this program around relatively quickly, and so that's been exciting. Kids have been terrific. They've bought in. They're working hard. They're doing the extra things they need to be higher end athletes, and it's been fun to see them have some success.
You listen to Game on Hockey in the Mighty 790 KFJO. That's the voice. That is the voice, pardon me, of the head hockey coach of the women's hockey team at St. Cloud State University, Brian Adelsky. Obviously, a little bit Scott's favorite player of all time plays for you. And a young lady that I talked to last year, Avery Myers, who transferred in from New Hampshire. How's Avery doing down there in St. Cloud?
Avery's been great. We actually play UNH our next game, so she's fired up at practice to get after it and to be a big impact in that game next weekend. So she's been good. Abe's got super good hockey sense, good hockey IQ. She's been in our top six for most of the year and is making plays and getting better. And what I like about Avery is, she's worked hard on her game watching film and working on small pieces to improve herself. And she's not satisfied with the fact she's had a little bit of success here so far.
Well, if Travis gets to ask about Avery, then I get to ask about Olivia Savard.
Yes,
How's
you do.
Olivia doing in her 4th year in a Husky uniform?
Well, it's been great because I knew both of those players before I got here. So, Avery's older sister was a super good player at Bemidji and someone we looked at North Dakota. So I've watched her play when she was like an 8th grader. And Olivia Savard, we had on campus at North Dakota a couple times when the recruiting rules were different. So, she was on campus as a 9th grader. So to come back, get into college hockey and have an opportunity to work with both of them has been pretty neat. But Olivia's Olivia. She's always had a shot. She's always had a good scoring touch. And so, she's really played some big minutes for us and definitely gives us a threat scoring wise with her shot. So Olivia's been good for us. I'm happy with her development. I think she's really been a big proponent of some of the changes and being, just better athletically all the way around and being a little more committed.
You talked about yeah. By the way, sorry, Scott. I'll just jump in here real quick and let you jump in after me. We're talking. You alluded to the North Dakota experience. Not going to go back and dwell on that circumstance. We'll talk about this year's team moving forward here in a minute or so. But how proud are you of coaching a couple of young ladies that ended up in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame? How do you feel as a coach knowing that you helped them get to that point?
Well, Trav, they were special players well before they got to me. And so to play a small part in their story and their journey is super cool. But I don't take any credit. Those kids did all the work. They were driven. They were just special players. And it was just fun to be around them during that. So, yeah, I got a chance to go there. I thought US Hockey did a great job with the evening, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, they're just special people. That whole family's super special. So it was great just to be a little part of that.
You talk about family and the importance of it, and we talked about Olivia and Avery and the fact that brothers and sisters in both of those families played. In the upper Midwest area, family seems to be everything when it comes to hockey. You'll find more than one person in the family is a good player. Do you find that when you're out recruiting?
Oh, without a doubt. When you kind of go through the life cycle of organizations in some of these areas, like it really has to do with one or two people who are hockey serious, who are doing it for real, and the kitchen table. We talk about all the time with Kitchen Table. It's so important to have other people in your family that know what it looks like to be elite and that are driven, and supportive parents who want you to do that and understand what it takes and are willing to embrace supporting that dream and helping you with that opportunity to be in those environments, to be great, to excel and develop. So super important. Kitchen table is always awesome.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a great place to jump off as we have other guests going on. And, this hour we get to do, Brian, goes very, very quickly when you have great guests giving great answers and telling great stories. That's what we try to do each and every Thursday. Congratulations on where you've landed. Congratulations on the trajectory of your team's remainder of the year. And as we get towards the playoffs, we'll probably have you back on again to see what kind of a run you can take at those Wisconsin Badges and those Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Perfect. Hey, I appreciate it. Great to catch up.
You bet.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate you having on jumping and joining us today. That's Brian Adelsky, head hockey coach of the women's St. Cloud State Husky hockey team. And Scott, you know what? The people in this game, the stories, he coached the Chinese national team in the Olympics. He's got UND in Russia. That experience, boy, I tell you what, these young ladies are pretty lucky to have him guide them through their hockey careers.
Oh, there's no question about that. The people who we've had on the coach, especially at the U.S. college level, both men and women's teams, are just not just expert in their fields, but understand the whole philosophy of coaching elite athletes and understand what it takes to help make young athletes better and better and better. I've never been more impressed with the people that we get on this show every week to talk about the not just the importance of being good athletes, but the importance of being good people as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Good people. Yeah, absolutely right. And makes it easier for their coach to take care of those youngsters and not getting in trouble off the ice. They're good values and all those things that come with it. Well, what we're going to do now is take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Paul Dick, the head coach of the Steinbach Pistons, Manitoba Junior Hockey League. Another player commits to the college ranks, the Division I hockey ranks. We'll have that conversation with Paul after this break. From the Nilles Law Firm studio, you're listening to the Game on Hockey on the Mighty 790 KFGO.
It's loud here.
If you've had it, if you're out there working hard, and one thing I do want to make sure to say, all those folks out there working on the streets and cleaning all the snow that we've had in the last couple of weeks, kudos to you, and kudos to the guys who made the ice at the Fargo Lights, West Fargo Lights hockey tournament last night. They make amazing ice given the conditions, the weather fluctuations, and the snow that fell. So kudos to all those folks and making those roads safe for all of us. We do appreciate it each and every winter day that goes by. This segment, by the way, for Game on Hockey is brought to you by the Ralph Engelstad Arena. The U.S. under-18 team, $10 upper bowl tickets for the U18 and as well as the Lindenwood series. Go to the ralph.com/Coke for all the details. Tickets can be purchased at the REA box office and at the ralph.com/Coke. And of course, Lindenwood the next week, same deal. So good ticket prices for Lindenwood. And Rick Zombo brings his Lindenwood hockey team to town 1 week from this coming Saturday. As well, you know what? The Sioux Shop in the Ralph Engelstad Arena, you have great opportunity to buy all the stuff you want. The jerseys, the quarter zips, the hoodies, and more, featuring UND college and departments clothing, plus UND football, basketball, volleyball, soccer t-shirts, and more. The Ralph has it all, whether it be little pucks, the little sticks that your kids whack you in the legs with, all those things that you want to do. If you want to stick stickers on your car with the Hawks logo, they got that as well. Sioux Shop, just go to siouxshop.com or visit them in the Ralph Engelstad Arena when you're there to watch Lindenwood or watch the U18 or Minnesota Duluth in a couple of weeks or whatever that may be. So regardless, that's what you can do at the siouxshop.com. Well, Scott, here it is just before game time in Winnipeg, and the Vancouver Canucks come to town. Brock Besser is having a relatively, I think he scored his 6th goal of the season last night. But Vancouver's kind of a team on the rise, isn't it?
Yeah, Vancouver's getting better. The Jets handled them 5-1 out in Vancouver a couple of weeks ago. But as we've found out in the last couple of weeks, the Jets are a different hockey team. I think it's going to be tough for them tonight. Vancouver's playing pretty well, and they are the favorites everywhere tonight. So I expect Brock Besser and the boys to play well tonight.
Talk about also other hockey we've been watching, the World Junior Hockey Tournament you had mentioned, and we had talked about Canada losing the first game to the Czechs, I believe it was the Czechs.
Czech Republic,
it the Czech Republic? And you had made a comment about them cutting their best goaltender. Who would cut their best goaltender? We're talking about the Canadian under the World Junior Hockey team.
They cut their best goaltender, who will be he'll be a good NHL player. He's back a junior helping Prince George win games. And I was really disappointed with the way the team played. Now they played much better in game 2 against Germany to win 11-2. And Connor Bedard had 7 points in that one. He'll be the number 1 draft pick this year. Well, let's see how it plays out with Finland and Sweden and the United States, and see how that all ends up. There's a lot of hockey left to be played in that World Junior.
And then one thing I don't like, and I'm a little more of a traditionalist. The Michigan goal, I absolutely hate the Michigan goal. I wish they wouldn't allow the Michigan goal. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a great play if it works. If it doesn't work, you look like an idiot.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
And what happened was Canada started to play cocky hockey and got their butts handed to them. I mean, that's exactly what happened in that game. They ran around being cocky hockey players, and you don't win that way at high-level tournaments. And they did that. And ladies and gentlemen, you get beat 6-2.
Yeah, exactly right. But I also like the fact that now there's no way to predict the World Junior Championship as well, because the U.S. lost yesterday. They won today, of course. So the playing field has become much more level in the World Juniors, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, and I think hockey's become more level all around the world. I mean,
True.
Canadian hockey is how do I put it? Canadian hockey is not coming back to the other teams. The other teams are catching Canadian hockey.
Yep.
And we've talked 100 times that if U.S. hockey, if more and more kids play, and you get more than, say, an area of 35 million American kids playing hockey, and you spread it out to 300 million kids playing hockey, now you've got Californians, Texans, Floridians, kids from Nashville, kids from Birmingham, kids from Phoenix. You could argue that 2 of the best players in the National Hockey League are from Phoenix, Arizona, Tage Thompson and Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
As the United States starts to spread the game out and it becomes wider among players, they're going to get better and better and better and better. And we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, that's the voice of Scott Taylor. He's got the wisdom. He's covered this game for an awful long time, 40 plus years. Winnipeg Jets. He sat with Bobby Hull and had conversations, and even dropped a few names. Last week about Marty Brodeur, having a conversation with him. So that's what we do each and every Thursday night. We drop names and we talk good hockey conversation. But one thing that we also do, you talk about the growth of the game. We'll bring in Paul Dick here. If he'll turn his camera on, we can let him join us here in a second as well. But here's a story too. Nick Mikan was on last week, and we had him on a little while ago. He committed to St. Thomas. His great grandfather, one of the all-time best basketball players in the National Basketball Association, setting it way, way, way back. He's going to be, when he's fully grown, he'll be 6'7", 240 pounds, and he's playing hockey. That's the difference between now and back when I played, because those guys would be playing basketball when they were that big.
I love they talked about one of the University of Minnesota offensive linemen today, and the first thing I thought about was, Nick Mikan.
He's
when he
not
plays
as
at
big as
St. Thomas.
Yeah. 6, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, no
I think
doubt
the guy was
whatsoever.
6'7", 280, and I'm thinking, well, Nick could be that big if he gets on the weights and keeps growing.
And I anticipate there'll be a few teams throwing a draft pick towards that young
I
man
would
as
think,
he develops.
yes. Well, I don't
and,
think they'd have to draft him now. Now it's a free agent signing. I think some teams should start thinking about it right now.
Oh yeah,
He's going to be gigantic after his second year at
St. Thomas. Well, that'd be
because
exciting to
he's
see
back
him
with
play.
the Pistons next year in the MJ.
He's back. He'll be 2 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier. Can you imagine? Well, I know the guy that'll be happy about that, and that's Paul Dick. He's the head hockey coach of that hockey team, and I see his name on the screen. Eric, is he popping up or is he not popping up? Anyway, we do this show on Zoom, so yep. Are you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you. We can't see you.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm not sure what's happening. I've never been an IT guy, so but
down in the bottom left-hand corner, there should be a start camera.
Well, let's keep going. Scott, ask him the question you wanted to ask him. Go ahead.
Click on it.
You know what?
Oh, there he is. Up. There he is. It's Paul.
There we go. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing? Congratulations on Nick Mikan, but also Travis Hensrud, I see, has committed to Northern Michigan.
Yeah, exciting week here. We had, just before the Christmas break, things started to really heat up with Nick Mikan, and what a gift for him, and what a great boost for the program here going into the Christmas break. And then, a couple days prior to Christmas Day, Travis Hensrud committed to Northern Michigan. So what an exciting 2 days. We thought it was going to happen actually all in one day in a span of about 3 hours, but sometimes these things, just some of the the paperwork, etc., and everything from transcripts, and then there's conversations with parents as well. So both of the boys are obviously extremely excited.
Tell us about the team this year. You're obviously playing very well. What, 24-6 or 26-4? You're in first place in your division, favored by many to win that league. You have recruited players from all across Canada and the upper Midwest in the United States. This is an international team. Tell us all about the Steinbach Pistons.
Well, that's exactly it. The game has grown in all areas. We have some American players this year as well. Ian Omsbaugh from Botno, Josh Nelson from Grand Forks, Nick Mikan from Edina, played in Blaine, and then we have a kid from Colorado, our goaltender Dom Wasik, and then we have 4 or 5 boys from Southern Ontario, which that was an area of the country that we had a hard time recruiting. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we've had some success with some of the players that have come in the last couple of years that have committed to Division I, and that kind of starts to feed itself. And then we have some players from out west. So, last year I think. Actually, we have a kid from Quebec. I think last year we had players from 7 or 8 different provinces. Not that different this year. So, we're not that selective in where they come from, as long as they come in and fit and fit into our culture and obviously have an upside to their game.
Paul, one thing that Scott and I try to do each and every week, and we've had you on a number of times, of course, is just share opportunities with youngsters down here of future that they may have if it's not something that the North American Hockey League is available right now, or the USHL is not available right now. There are options north of the border. You've got a great program. The Manitoba Junior is a phenomenal opportunity. Share that message about, hey, you know what? If you're looking for an opportunity, just reach out, because you know what? There might be something here for you.
Well, totally. In fact, with Ian Omsbaugh this year, he was a player that reached out to me directly in August, and we didn't really have him on our radar. He was 20 years old. It was a unique situation, because typically we're having players coming into the junior ranks at 17, 18, maybe 19 with the Americans, depending on their age after graduation from high school. So Ian was 20. So a unique scenario. But I had played college in Botno, but wanted to, try his hand in junior and see what opportunity might come from there. So, that's sometimes how it transpires is it can be an email. We have players approach us, but, often in terms of our league, sometimes the Americans aren't familiar with the opportunity, the level of play, the opportunity to get to the next level once you've played a year or two in our league. So, I think for those that really don't have an understanding of it, mean, we're seeing a lot of players go on to play Division One. I think we've had 11 or 12 here in the last 13 months, I believe. So
Wow.
it's been quite a run, but I think and I understand it. I think players sometimes look within their own country, but I just encourage guys to find the right fit, and that might not be us necessarily, but find a place that wants you, that has a vision for you as a player, that has a development plan for you, and one that you can envision playing at, and we're one where you feel comfortable as well, and are excited to be a part of it.
And when before we let you go, I have to ask this question. Okay, Nick Miken's coming back next year, right? So he'll be what, 2 inches taller and another what, 10, 15 pounds bigger. Where do you put him on the power play? Right in front of the net? The goalie couldn't see the puck.
Well, he is net front on the power play. Yeah, he's got potential. There's so much potential for growth in Nick. I mean, he's a young man who physically could be an absolute monster. By the time he's in college, but his game's growing, and so there's just his upside. There's just so much to it. I mean, you look at a kid that's 6'4" and 18 is just now scratching the surface. He's played his first 30 games of junior hockey. So what lies ahead for Nick, I'm not sure. I think the future is very bright. He's a kid that's putting in a lot of work. He has aspirations of going as far as he can. I wouldn't put a cap on where he's going to end up in 5-6 years.
I tell you what, we're hearing that name. I think Scott and I are going to be in the family advisor business here pretty quick with that young man if we can do it. Hey, Paul, thanks very much for jumping on board. Exciting times north of the border. If you're looking for the opportunity, guys, if you're a player looking for a place to go, Manitoba Juniors, not a bad place to look. Of course, Steinbach, pretty awesome as well. Hey, thanks, Paul. Happy New Year to you and the Piston family.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Paul.
Great as always, guys.
Talk soon. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, we're kind of turning into the arm of the media arm of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League down here in this neck of the woods on the Mighty 790. By the way, this is Game On Hockey, the Mighty 790 KFGO in Fargo, North Dakota. Scott Taylor, Travis Dunn on a Thursday night. We'll take a break. When we come back, a little Pilot Mound Hockey Academy conversation. Another opportunity north of the border. Playing hockey, lots of hockey. That's what it's all about on a Thursday night, and we sure enjoy doing this each week, and we hope you enjoy joining us each and every week as well, making this as appointment radio and as well. But Scott's sitting at the Winnipeg Arena, the Canada Life Center in Winnipeg, getting ready for a Winnipeg Jets game. We'll take a break. I'm at the Nilles Law Firm Studio South. He's at the Nilles Law Firm Studio North. You're listening to Game On Hockey in the Mighty 790 KFGO.
Asked to see the manager man. That's what we do.
We get the manager, man. We get the coaches. We get the directors. We get you name it. We get it all here on Game on Hockey and the Mighty 790 KFGO, and each and every Thursday evening. Just remember, when the NFL season ends, this show will move till 6 p.m. in the evening. Remember, tonight at 6:30 will be the Titans at the Cowboys. The NFL season is winding down. Playoffs right around the corner. It's almost January. So, hey, we'll be getting a 6 till 7 o'clock time slot, and Scott and I'll carry on doing this show, but just make sure to put that in your calendar, and we hope you do that each and every week. And Scott, fire away with your message.
Oh, it's the middle of hockey season. You can probably hear behind me. It's
Yes,
getting
you
louder
can.
and louder. And that means Jarrell's Hockey World is the place for everything you need to make your season perfect. Jarrell's has the best hockey sticks in the game, all of the best protective equipment bags, even nets for road hockey or the backyard rink. And Jarrell's has Bauer and CCM clothing, plus everything you need to make your season perfect. Skate guards, laces, tape, wax, pucks, even stick handling balls. In business for 50 years and the 2021 U.S. Bauer Retailer of the Year right here in our backyard. Jarrell's Hockey World, 1004 South Washington Street in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Call 701-775-0553. I'm excited. It's hockey season.
Darn right it is. And you're at the Canada Life Center in Winnipeg, getting ready for the Vancouver Canucks versus the Winnipeg Jets, depleted Winnipeg Jets roster. And that's the noise in the background. Actually, it's not too bad, Scott. I can see stuff in the background. If you're on Zoom, by the way, watching, you can see the rink, whatever the bowels of the rink behind him. There's some screens and so on. So please jump on YouTube and you can see that. You can see Scott's lovely face on this beautiful December day as well.
Yeah,
But with
everybody's
that,
waiting for that.
and the man chuckling in the background, oh, he's Gordy Tummelson. He's on the bad list now from Scott. So I'll let Scott ask the first question.
Well, speaking of a Winnipeg Jets goaltender,
Yep.
You've been to games here at Canada Life Center. How much different is it in here than when you played at the old Winnipeg Arena?
Well, it's a little bit more spread out, and they got the upper deck, of course. It's new, it's got new building smell still, and the old arena did not have new building smell, but
Yeah.
the other place was homey.
Gordy, tell us all about Pilot Mound over the Christmas holidays. You've got a new general manager coming in. You've got all sorts of changes coming up to start the second half of the season. It's onward and upward for Pilot Mound.
Yeah, the hub of hockey in southwestern Manitoba. I've just renamed it that. So there you go. The hub of hockey. Yeah, we've got a big meeting on Tuesday. We're going to talk to our new GM. We're going to announce the new GM on Thursday right here on this show. We're going to announce the new general manager right here on this show.
Well, I'm impressed. Thank you very much.
There you go. It's important to us that people in the north of the United States and, of course, in Manitoba know that we've got a new GM and who she is, et cetera, et cetera. So stay tuned for that one. And we've got lots of things coming up. We're a lot of planning going on with our spring, getting ready for spring tryout camps and assessment camps. All kinds of good things happening in there. So it's a 24/7 program, hockey in this country, and here we are right in the middle of it.
Well, 24/7 and a lot of hockey games, 60 plus games a year. If you go to Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, go to pilotmountainhockeyacademy.com. I anticipate you can get all that information. Gordy Tummelson is the hockey coach, the hockey goaltender coach, pardon me, at that. And he's a former player in the WHA. We only have about 2 minutes left. Gordy, you know what? Each and every week we get some good information. We'll look forward to introducing the newest GM and a young lady, which, you know what? That's very progressive on the behalf of Pilot Mound, isn't it?
It sure is. We're thrilled to have this person who's a tremendous organizer, has played academy hockey. I think she played in Shattuck, in fact. And so, we're well aware of her, and she's well aware of us. And it's going to be, and she's a family member, so it's going to be a really neat marriage in this one.
Awesome. Hey, Gordy, thanks for joining us on this beautiful Thursday night. We'll look forward to that announcement next week, and you're going to have her join us as well if she gets the opportunity. We enjoy that conversation each and every Thursday evening on Game on Hockey. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next year, Gordy.
Happy New Year, Gordy.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year to everybody.
Talk to you next year.
Be safe.
You got it. Well, Scott, big game at the Winnipeg Arena, and I keep calling it the Winnipeg Arena because that's just a force of habit, at the Canada Life Center tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. It'll be on Game on Hockey. It'll be your Game on Hockey. It'll be doing a little story on it. I imagine you'll have that up on Twitter. How do I follow you on Twitter, Scott?
S Taylor Sports at S Taylor Sports.
At S
You can
Taylor
follow.
Sports?
You can follow me at in Facebook as well, and GameOnHockey.ca. That's where you
Game
find
on
me
Hockey.
every night.
And then Game On Radio, KFGO. So with that, we're going to say goodnight. We want to thank our guests, Eric, for running the show back over there, Brian Adelsky, head coach of the St. Cloud State Huskies women's hockey team, the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, which you do each and every week with Gordy Tumbleson. It's been another great show, and we have a big announcement next Thursday for Pilot Mountain. So with that, good night, Scott Taylor, Canada Life Center. Good night from everyone here at the Mighty 790 KFGO. Happy New Year, by the way. Let the bells ring from the Game On Hockey crew. Good night for now.